Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
Dynamic dilettante. This is the show that says there's only two things I hate in this world. I hate people intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch. Great line from Goldmember. Hey, it's great to have you along again. I'm the Belf Man. That's my producer and partner and pal, Katie, who's running you're doing all the heavy lifting. I just feel like I show up and you do all the heavy lifting.
That's the point.
Hey, it's great to have you along. We don't have a lot to get to tonight. Our big feature is DC and Marvel. As you and I were talking about this as to really who's producing the better films. You know, DC and Marvel, both known for their comic books. How long have they been in filmmaking now? I mean,
I think Iron Man's was the first one, and that was probably in 2007 or 8.
and that would be of the movies that they are doing now, and they've kind of all tied them together. But even prior to that, Marvel was making movies, but it's under Sony Pictures at that time.
Yep.
The Spider-Man movies, but who's done a better job when it comes to movies? And how do you view that? I think it's kind of a hands down for me.
Yeah, I think it's hands down for a lot of people. I think everybody's got their stories that they grew up with and the comics they know and love. I know I differ from you a little bit that you grew up reading a lot of the comic books that are featured in these movies, and you're really familiar with a lot of the stories as they were originally told. Whereas I come into it a lot from just watching the movies.
Yeah,
I mean, we'd all heard about that stuff.
Most moviegoers.
Right. And I gotta say, Marvel does a much, much better job than DC when it comes to it. And the reason why is there's a little more levity to Marvel's movies. There's some humor, and it's good humor. It's not just forced in there for the point of we don't have any humor, so we gotta force it in there. DC, I mean, theirs tend to be more dark, but I don't know. That might just be the Schneider films.
Yeah, I think it's even more than that. I mean, Suicide Squad would be a great example. They showed that movie and it was just blah, nobody liked it. So they went back and went, we got to inject a bunch of humor. So what they did was inject a bunch of jokes into it,
right,
trying to make it funny. And that just doesn't work. I mean, I think the humor's got to come naturally from the characters. And that's what happens in the Marvel movies.
Absolutely. And like I said, with DC movies, it feels forced. It doesn't feel natural. The thing is if they want to be that dark, ominous, just brooding type movie, that's fine. But then just own it and do that. Don't try and do that type of movie and then inject that Marvel type humor into it. It just doesn't work.
Well, and I think it depends on the character you're doing. So if you're doing Batman movies, that's one of the reasons that the Dark Knight films were very successful.
Yep.
And it wasn't because of DC had suddenly figured out the movies. But the Dark Knight films, Christopher Nolan got it. He knew what he was doing. And even then, there were lighter moments between Bruce Wayne and Alfred. There were some very serious moments as well, but there were moments it's got to spring from who the characters are naturally, rather than trying to, let's give that joke to this character. Let's give that joke to this character. Doing that, it didn't work in Suicide Squad. It was a wreck. It was a disaster. Did you even watch Suicide Squad?
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's one of those you started out and you go, did I even watch it? I mean, I'm trying to scrub it from my memory.
But when it comes to now, are there some Marvel movies I don't like? Absolutely. I mean, I think in the Marvel universe, I'm not a big fan of some of the newer ones. Aren't my favorite. Like I've recently watched. I started watching Black Widow. I never finished that one, but I started watching it, and it just didn't have that same feel that like the earlier Marvel movies did. Like from I think the Phase 1 ones, I call them.
Right, with the Iron Man movies, Captain America movies,
Thor, yeah.
Thor, yeah.
Because like Thor is one.
Even Ant-Man I thought was funny. Ant-Man
Yep.
and Ant-Man and the Wasp I thought were pretty.
Thor was particularly good. I mean, they have a certain sense of humor in that one. It just carries. But then like I'll say though, like DC, if you flip over to that side, I really like of all the ones they've done to set up the story, because I can't remember if Man of Steel actually fits into that stack where they start building the backstories of say all the characters that are featured in Justice League.
Right.
I'm getting the hint that that's kind of what they're doing.
Yes.
See, I'm probably the
And then
odd
they set it up to lead into Batman v Superman,
Yep.
Dawn of Justice. Yep.
I really didn't like Batman v Superman. I know you're a fan of it.
I was slow to.
I
but
think you had to
even
watch
then, even then, are there things I like about it? Yeah. Overall, is it among my favorite of the Batman movies? I can't say yes, not really.
And I think we have touched on this before, but like if you're looking at the original Justice League movie as it was the theatrical cut,
Right.
I think it's a terrible movie. It tried to tell way too much in way too short a time. There's no levity in it whatsoever.
Right.
But then you move over and you watch the Schneider cut, which is what, another hour? And
Yeah,
some
it's
change?
quite long.
Almost 4 hours.
Right. Basically, it's 2 hour movies,
So what should have been done is like a part 1, part 2, like Infinity
which is
Wars.
what he was planning
Yep.
to do.
So it should have been like Infinity Wars and Endgame.
Right.
And to me, that one felt so much better, even though it was so long, because there's more time to tell that story and they're able to develop plot points instead of just trying to cram all these plot points into such a tight package where it's like, there's just not enough time to develop it. And you're just like, I don't know what happened. I watched 2.5 hours or something, but I don't know what happened.
Right. Well, and I think DC is behind the curve, and I think DC is going to remain behind the curve. You look at what Marvel just did with Spider-Man and No Way Home,
Right.
which is, by the way,
Because you just went and saw that again, didn't you?
saw it again. Saw
Yeah.
it for the second time with my son. Took my son because I took my son and my oldest daughter when they were both young. I took them to see Tobey Maguire in
Yep.
that first Spider-Man film with Willem Dafoe, and to see him again and playing that character. He's such a terrific actor anyway. I think you love him as much
Yep.
as I do. It is really terrific. And that those characters I think are just really vibrant. And you look at the DC films, they really don't do that. But I do think Zack Snyder captured some of that in that longer cut of the Justice League. It's a better film. Now I'm talking about the 2 hour, or excuse me, the like 4+ hour, what originally was planned as 2 films. And you can get it now on DVD, and that's what I did. And I watched it, and I'm like, this is a much better film than what they released theatrically in the theaters. The one in theaters just was not that good. You and I went to that together, didn't we? Didn't I take you to that? I think
Yeah.
we had gone to see that, and it's
Yep.
just like, yuck.
Just looking at the chat here, Laura, she enjoys definitely Marvel more, and yes, another hater of Suicide Squad.
Yeah, that's a bad film. And then that had, and there was much made of it because then Ben Affleck makes a kind of a cameo as
Yep.
Batman in that film. And I went and I go, why? What for? That whole thing is just was not good.
But that's one other thing we were talking about this week when you and I were kind of looking at the topic is DC tends to use more cameo roles, and it's like to boost the headlines of who's in the movie. I mean, just like, yeah, we've got a movie, great. Oh, hey,
Right.
Keaton's in it. Oh, hey, great, Affleck's in it. And it's I don't know. It's just like they're throwing crap at the wall and hoping some of it'll stick and that they'll get a little more, viewership from it.
Well, you and I have seen we went to see Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yep.
And so now they're doing the movie The Flash, which is going to be coming out. And we know Ben Affleck's going to be the Batman in it. Michael Keaton is going to be
Yep.
the Batman in it. Keaton has got a pretty significant role based on what I'm reading, more than Affleck does. Affleck is kind of a cameo. For Keaton, he's a central part of of this movie. Um, and after seeing Spider-Man No Way Home and the way that they brought in those other Spider-Men, those characters, Tobey Maguire and forgive me, his name just
Tom
slipped.
Holland and
Um, yeah, he
give me a
was
second.
it'll come to me. He was in those. He did a couple of Spider-Man movies, and I thought, how can DC now compete with No Way Home? Because that was absolutely tremendous. Not only was it great to see all those characters in their Spider-Man costumes again and doing their thing and relating to each other, which was absolutely tremendous. But oh man, there are some heartbreaking moments in No Way Home that I did not
Absolutely.
expect. And I just think that's where the Marvel movies succeed when the DC movies just fall right on their face.
Right. Oh, and of course, I click on the one and it's the wrong. I'm trying to find who the third Spider was. Uh, S- Steve Dees in the chat is like he wishes DC had better films. Superman should be a no-brainer to fill the seats, and because he does a cameo as well in the new one, doesn't he? Coming up in Flashpoint.
I'm not certain about that.
Okay.
I'm not certain. Uh, I haven't read all that much. I did see some photos of Michael Keaton in the new bat suit, and I thought, well, that was pretty cool. And for those of we invite you to also to follow us on Twitter. If you're one of those folks that's on Twitter, I'm trying to move things pretty regularly on Twitter. And recently there were photos of Keaton in the bat suit on the set that actually had shown up on Twitter. And I'm like, that looks pretty good. Now, it looks pretty good. Whether it's going to be pretty good is something altogether different. And again, based on DC's other movies, I am not at all convinced that they're going to be, especially after seeing No Way Home.
Andrew Garfield's the other.
Andrew Garfield, thank you very much.
I'm usually a little quicker with the Google.
Yeah.
But to me, it also seems like so you've got Marvel who kind of started because I mean Spider-Man and Batman movies, Superman movies, they've been around forever. I mean, what since the 70s,
Yeah,
late 70s?
yeah,
They
they
started
were doing
making them.
Christopher Reeve movies. Yeah,
And then, but with this like new generation of these movies where they're really trying to build out the entire universe of these, it really feels that Marvel seems to take the first step in it, and DC's doing anything you can do, I can do better, but they don't.
yeah, they don't, and they're way behind the curve.
Right.
And Marvel's doing such a tremendous job that I think the bar for DC just gets raised that much higher, and I don't think they're up to it. I don't think they are up to producing again, and I'll pit it against No Way Home. No Way Home was an absolutely tremendous movie. And for a lot of reasons, I love seeing all three of those actors who played Spider-Man in it. That was terrific. Andrew Garfield, I thought, really got a break in that movie
Yeah.
because
He was
I did-
terrible in
and
his
I-
Spider-Man movie. Or what was it, Amazing Spider-Man?
yeah, The Amazing
that
Spider-Man,
movie.
and yeah, they're not great movies. And that character of Peter Parker that he played,
Yeah.
and I'm not blaming Garfield because he's a good actor, and we see that in No Way Home.
Right.
And that's why part of the reasons I loved it, because you know what? That's the first time I've seen Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, and I like that character. And I did not like The Amazing Spider-Man, and I forget, I think it was 2. The second one was Amazing Spider-Man 2, I think.
Yep.
Those were not good films. I've got them. I've not gone back and watched them. I just don't think they're good.
Steve from Facebook is saying he really enjoyed Flash and Green Arrow on TV. So those have to be the CW ones, I'm assuming.
Yes.
And
And
they
those
were
are,
great.
I would agree with him. Those are great characters.
And they were. But when they were good, they slammed on the brakes. And I have to agree with him. I never finished. I really enjoyed Green Arrow, which off the wall, I don't know why. But as it got later in the seasons, it just like, what is going on? I mean, it just seemed so convoluted and it was hard to follow. And again, maybe I'm not very familiar with the backstories and the
You
where
shouldn't have to be. I
Right.
mean, you were a regular faithful viewer of that show.
Yep.
And if you start getting lost, there's a sign there that something's not right with the show.
And I know with Flash, I think I watched about the first 3 or 4 seasons, and after that, it kind of lost my interest in it. It just, I don't know, I just didn't really grab me and pull me in like the first few seasons.
Yeah, I think there is a newness to those television shows, and some of that kind of wears off. But yeah, I've not watched the Flash. They're still making the Flash. I
Yep.
think they're headed to their last season.
I believe so.
You know, but I did, and I love him as the Flash. There were a lot of people who hoped he'd be the Flash in the DC movies because he's so good.
I'm not.
Grant Gustin,
Yep. I'm
Yep.
not a fan of the guy who they have playing it.
he's a kook. I mean, real life kook.
And Supergirl apparently is another one that shouldn't have been made, according to Steve.
I can't argue with you, Steve. You're asking that. Yeah, that a lot of those were mistakes. Seriously, but No Way Home. I can't say enough good things about it. And again, all of those characters shined.
Yep.
And they allowed. Now they don't dominate the movie, but each. One of the things I loved, and we're not giving anything away
No.
at this point. That movie's been out now for well over
3
what, a
months,
couple of
3 to 4
several months. So we're not giving anything away. But what I didn't expect was to see May die in that film. That surprised me. I did not know that was coming. And Tom Holland, it was great. And then, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. She lays that line on him. And then you get Tobey Maguire, who finishes the sentence, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. Yeah, my Uncle Ben told me that. And you start to see that connection between those characters. They realize how much they have in common. That's brilliant movie making. And DC's not up to it.
No, that's and the thing is also I know we saw the trailer for Doctor Strange 2, and I
Yes.
don't remember the exact what it's called, the title for the movie. It's Doctor Strange 2.
Right.
I'm gonna get corrected real quick on that one. But I love Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is probably one of my favorite series through those new Marvel movies, and just the amount of stuff that's crammed into that new movie, it's really tying a ton of the side series that
Yeah.
Marvel's done that are like exclusives on like Disney Plus for their What
Right.
If series, because we just watched that.
Which was pretty good, by
Yeah.
the way, in and of itself, the What If series from Marvel. I enjoyed that.
I know they're tying a little bit of WandaVision in. I'll be honest, that wasn't my favorite show. With a lot of the alternative universe stuff, and to me, it looks great, and I can't wait to see it because I think it comes out like the first week in May.
Okay.
So
Well, and I think Marvel is getting lost with some of these newer characters, and they're making some of these movies and they're bombing. They're not doing well. But Spider-Man No Way Home was, I think, really just a triumph for Marvel, a great, great movie. And one of the things I also loved about that was that that's a movie that brought people back to the box office. You know, for many, because of COVID-19, many of us had not been going to movie theaters. And that's a movie that really was powerful enough. People wanted to go see it and did, and it shows. It was a terrific movie.
yeah, and because I can't remember the last time. I know you've gone to some movies over the last year and a half or so, but I can't remember being to a movie myself and actually going to the theater. Because yes, I'm one of those weirdos who likes to watch movies at home in my comfy clothes with my pooch on the couch. But it was nice to yeah, that was a movie I was really happy we got to go see in the theater.
Because there's a lot going on in that film, and you get 3 Spider-Men swinging around at the same time, and multiple villains you get a shot of 6 people or characters on the screen at a time. There's a lot happening in that Statue of Liberty to see it
Final
all.
scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if in November when Flashpoint, because it's called Flashpoint.
Originally, I think it was. What I have seen is just the Flash, so
Yeah.
we'll see. I think it's just the Flash at this point.
And so now that's what released in November 4th, it looks like now. Because didn't it have an earlier release date
Yes.
originally, but then what production I'm assuming got
And what a shot. DC movie again, moving the release dates, and
and now true, some of that could have been due to COVID.
I would agree, but I just think DC has been behind the eight ball. They're going to stay behind the eight ball unless there is a complete meltdown at Marvel.
Right.
But Marvel Studios just, I think, excels hand over, over fist over the movies that DC has put out.
But really, at the end of the day, Greg, are you really surprised that Marvel releases a movie where they've got the three different Spider-Men all tied up into one universe now?
Right.
Explain the multiverse, whatever Marvel calls it.
Multiverse.
And then you swing over to DC and, oh, look, we've got all these different Batmans we're now going to tie together in one universe and tie it all together based on time travel. Oh, wait, we've seen this already.
You're right. Well, and I don't know who had the idea first. Did DC had the idea and Marvel got wind of it? And Marvel, just
Pushed ahead with
because
it.
they're more efficient, faster, they jumped right to it, made the film. Whereas DC will talk these movies to death. Seriously.
Right.
I mean, they talk. It was the same way even for years about the original 1989 Batman.
Yep.
I was in college, probably circa 1982 and 83, and I remember even reading then, and me and my friends were reading in science fiction magazines that they were talking about a Batman movie. I mean, and that's again full 6-8 years before it finally even hit the movie theaters in '89.
Right.
So DC just moves at a
Glacial.
staggeringly slow pace.
But I think it'll still be good to see, though.
I'm looking forward to it, but I expect to be disappointed.
Because I know DC has also done an animated version of Flash 2 in a longer form feature film.
Yes. And that's, which is based on a comic book.
Comics, strictly. Yeah.
Right.
I thought that was great. I mean, it was really different. And again, not coming from somebody who doesn't read comic books and isn't familiar. I thought that was a great animated series that we said, or movie that we
Right.
watched.
It's a compelling story. And I
Right.
thought The Flash on the CW with Grant Gustin they did a version of that, of, him and going back in time and all that. I thought they handled it really, really well. And it's like, why can't DC movies get started? Why can't they get rolling?
Right.
It's been amazing to me to watch them. They just seem to want to lag behind and be late to the party,
Wonder Woman was about the only one I liked,
which was pretty good also.
but not the second one. I'm sorry, Wonder Woman 84 was actually a standalone. It wasn't part of like the current series. It was her. Wonder Woman 84 wasn't my favorite. I don't know, it just didn't jive. It didn't seem to have the same chemistry that made the first one so successful for me. That I hooked on it, but
And
Yeah,
that
the
was
first one's
part of
great.
what people liked about it. It was like, finally, DC is showing they've got a sense of humor and they can do a lighter movie instead. Batman is a dark and brooding character, but not all the DC heroes are that way,
Right.
nor should they all be that way. And that, I think that's a mistake that DC has gone in that direction. That's not the reason I always enjoyed Superman. That's not what I look for from Superman, the Man of Steel, is that kind of dark and, so, and part of that I think is, what coming from the director, but that's a mistake, I think, at least in my book.
well, let's hope with the next year they don't let us down. I guess they can only go up from here, maybe?
Yeah, DC can't do any worse.
I don't know.
No, seriously. I mean, so if they improve it, if it still sucks, but it's an improvement, it's like, okay, well, at least it's better, but still not good. I mean, that's kind of what I'm expecting, because Michael Keaton in the bat suit again, for me, I anticipated the 1989 film for years. I mean, me and my friends, and we were talking about it, waiting, and you did, and the way DC teased that, there were, they showed a trailer. They wanted to break a trailer because word on the street was, oh, Michael Keaton's in Batman. They're going to ruin it because Michael Keaton's in it. And so the word was there was a script out there of a humorous attempt of Eddie Murphy as Robin along with Michael Keaton as Batman. And so there was rumors of all that. And everybody's like, oh man. So they produced this trailer, this 90-second trailer that went out to movie theaters. And I went to go see Twins with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is not a movie you'd want to go see. And I didn't necessarily want to see it, but I wanted to see that Batman trailer. And that trailer was just, I mean, the greatest. And you saw the Batmobile and that thing fire up and the flames coming out the back. And, you saw Keaton in the bat suit. You saw Nicholson as the Joker. You saw all those things just enough to go, hey, this is a serious undertaking. This isn't something to, at least at that time, 1989, when it was released, it was the first kind of serious Batman undertaking. And it's one of the reasons that I love 1989's Batman. So if they can recapture that kind of but I'm not hopeful that they will. They're using Keaton now, the Batgirl television show.
Well, that's what we were kind of talking
playing
about
bit
with the
parts
cameos.
in that. Yeah. Keaton's playing a cameo in that Batgirl series, and it's like, we'll see. I have high hopes, but we'll see where it goes.
We can only hope.
Yes.
I just hope. I had to laugh here. Steve says he was so excited for Aquaman and Wonder Woman and fell asleep during both.
Yeah.
I'll say I watched Aquaman and that was just
and
I love Jason Momoa.
Yes.
But that was just
and as that character, I like him. He's good as that character.
Not in that standalone movie though. That was just hot trash.
But again, it's you write a bad script, and even if you got good people in, good actors cannot support bad scripts.
Right.
Because if it's a bad script, it's a bad script. And no acting job's going to save it if the story is bad. And Aquaman frankly, it was bad. And then I see they're making Aquaman 2. I go, what the hell for? What questions were not answered in Aquaman that you got to see another movie? Nobody's asking for Aquaman 2.
Maybe he was contracted for 2 movies.
Right, he might have been.
Not counting Justice League or
then
any
pay
other
him
ones.
off and don't make the movie. Save yourself. That's been done before.
Yep.
Okay, we said we'll pay you, but we're not going to make the movie because it was a piece of crap.
Like they let George Lucas write the script.
Right.
According to Steve here.
All right, we'll move on here a little bit. We've got a quick rundown and all of these stories that I'm going to share with you, just brief highlights. And I've got links to more of these stories. You'll find them all on our Twitter account. So we invite you to join us on Twitter, Dynamic Dilettante on Twitter. And I'm a big fan of A Christmas Story. I love that story. I love the people in that story. Christmas Story, a sequel to A Christmas Story is in the works with the original cast. That's right. Ralphie's going to be back. Peter Billingsley. I'm saddened that the old man, who was played by Darren McGavin, sadly, he's passed away. So we're not going to see Darren McGavin in the sequel. But he was absolutely terrific as the old man. What's that moment where he gets mad at his wife when she breaks the leg, and he says, "Get the glue," and she says, "We're out of glue," and he's like, "You used up all the glue on purpose." Great movie, a lot of funny moments. So, Christmas Story sequel coming out. Also, Wrath of Khan is going to be for Star Trek fans like me. Wrath of Khan will be returning to theaters for its 40th anniversary. That'll happen later this year. Also, Netflix is going to be producing a new Masters of the Universe movie. And Sony had been working on one for a number of years. Those plans obviously scrapped. It's going to be on Netflix. And Kyle Allen is going to be He-Man. And speaking of Netflix, Stranger Things is going to be back, headed into its final season at Netflix. And I think I mentioned this also. We're seeing photos of Michael Keaton in the new bat suit, and it looks pretty cool.
I do have that trailer ready if you want to see that.
Sure, absolutely.
Who are you under there? What are you hiding?
My son dreamt of a better world. That's why he saved me.
You can go to any timeline, any universe. Why'd fight to save this one?
What could be greater than a king? A hero.
I just got goosebumps. If we don't stand up, no one will.
Come with us. There's a glorious world out there, waiting for you.
Are you in?
Oh, yeah, and you see The Rock as Black Adam in that, too, which is one of the reasons. That was just a quick preview of all the movies that they have coming out in 2022. Black Adam is one of them, and again, The Rock will be playing Black Adam. I'm fairly excited about that if they don't mess that up. But I think they've shown with some of their characters, Shazam would be a great example. Shazam, I enjoyed. I thought it was funny, lighter movie. And I thought, okay, DC is showing that they can take a lighter approach to some of their heroes. They did that with Shazam. So we'll see what happens. But those are upcoming. That was a quick look of movies that'll be upcoming this year. But there are actual photos of Michael Keaton in the bat suit. And if you follow us on Twitter, we've got more to all of those stories and links for you there.
All right.
That was all I had.
So, rapid fire question. Who is your favorite Spider-Man? Count of three. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Tom
Tobey
Holland.
Maguire. Yeah.
See, I figured you'd say Tobey Maguire.
I love seeing him again in that, in No Way Home. Pretty good.
Yep.
But Tom Holland's great though too. I don't
Yes.
know. They're both. And again, Tobey Maguire was making those movies at a different time and, different level of effects versus what we see now. They were just starting to get into really the digital age of some of those effects at that point. Whereas now it's, the arts, the craft of that has just grown. And again,
So then, Laura in the question or in the chat's asking, "Who's your favorite Joker?" Hands down, that's got to be, dude, I can't think of his name.
Cesar Romero,
No, not
Jack Nicholson. You're not going to say what's his name who was in Suicide Squad, are you?
No, not
Jared Leto.
He's the one who played the Joker in the Dark Knight series.
Oh, Heath Ledger was
Heath
great.
Ledger, there we go.
And the guy
Heath
who was
Ledger.
in the standalone Joker film, The Joker.
Yes, Jude Law.
Yeah. I thought
Phenomenal.
that was an incredible movie. I would love to see them tie that character into the DC universe or to do something more with that. Jude Law was just absolutely incredible.
Do you think we'll ever see that, like with the new Batman standalones? Like the new Batman that's coming out.
Yes.
Do you think they'll ever tie that in with like the Joker or anything, or were those ever just meant to be strictly standalone?
I think it'll be like the Dark Knight series of films, which they stood alone. You know, they were on their own, and I think we may see that, but we'll have to wait and see. If it is successful, I think there's going to be a tendency at DC to want to try to tie it into other things and say, well, let's lift up this turkey of a movie, you know, by getting Batman in. I'm I'm very excited about the Batman, but again, I hesitate to get too excited about DC projects because so many of them stink.
I can hear a lot of people, like, just in the different YouTube channels and stuff that I watch, a lot of people are getting really excited about the new Batman, which comes out, if I remember right, the 4th or the 2nd? The 2nd.
I don't remember the exact release date. Comes out in March, though, right?
I believe it comes out this week.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it does. I think you're right about that.
Find it here.
No worries.
Yep. It releases. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's early this month.
I believe it's the 2nd.
I
no,
agree.
the 3rd. March
Yeah.
3rd.
That'll be next Thursday.
No, it's this Thursday.
Or excuse me, this Thursday. Yes, the 3rd.
End of the month already.
Yeah.
Where did November or February go?
Flipped right by.
All right. So, random fact for the night. You're an eBayer. How much stuff don't you get off eBay in a day?
I get a lot on in a day. Thanks.
When the mailman
Not quite
knows you by
that
name.
badly, yes.
All right. Do you know what the first item ever sold on eBay was?
No.
Well, it was a broken laser pointer.
A broken laser.
The
And
creator.
they're still being sold on eBay today. Get yours now.
It was sold in 1995 by the creator of eBay. And of course, I didn't look up the price. Sorry, folks.
Right,
I
right,
have the price for you.
right.
If you want your broken laser pointers
Sure.
coming to eBay near you. So,
You've got to show those photos yet. We haven't shown those photos, or did you?
nope. It's always that time for What's from the Cave of Wonders.
And this time around, these are some of the. I've got a thing for a few of the Star Trek toys. I've got some Enterprises that actually light up and have sounds with them that are actually quite beautiful, that were produced. And I've got, as you see here, Phaser 2 and a communicator. These are modeled based on the original series. You can see the Phaser. The Phaser 2 is a handheld unit, the pistol grip, and that smaller black Phaser plugs into the top. So the smaller Phaser 1, you could conceal very easily, the Phaser 1, but when you needed more power, you would snap that into the larger Phaser 2 unit, and it gave you more distance, and then the handle was a power pack in the television series. And then the communicator you also see there, and I love that communicator because it actually has got, you hear that? Oh, and it talks as well because you press the buttons. Oh, hold on.
Go around to the, there you go.
Me and my toys. So, and I've got a number of phasers. This one is from Star Trek 6. And you can see what they had taken one of the older units, and what they did was they put a covering on it to make it look more durable. And so this was you would have seen this, for instance, in Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country. This is the one that they carried in that film. So I was covering hold on. This button is really touchy. And I think the batteries are dying. There it goes.
Steve wants to know if you have any set pieces or props from the TV series at all.
No, I don't. And those are tremendously hard to come by and go. I mean, I would be interested in some of the things, I think. But some of the pieces that you really would want and go after, for instance, like the captain's chair, I mean, some of that stuff is, um, um, just went for tens of thousands of dollars to get your hands on some of those. Even the replicas, there are a number of companies that have sold replicas of the captain's chair, and they are just about spot on. They're absolutely beautiful, some of them.
'Cause you and I just watched a documentary actually on
On what's that?
sorry, elevator door would be the Pog Champ. You and I just watched or it was an older documentary. I think it was like from 2016 on what was it, Paramount, I think, on Smithsonian's restoration of the original
Yes.
Enterprise.
Yes, the original TV series Enterprise, because Paramount had given that to the Smithsonian. And I have got a Star Trek, it was a newsletter that you could buy in the stores. This is back in the 70s. Um, Poster book, Star Trek poster book. And in one of the poster books that I have from that time period, they actually show photos of this thing being uncrated at the Smithsonian and what it looked like. And it was in deplorable shape by the time the Smithsonian got it. The engine nacelles on the front, there's those circulating mirrors that made that circulating light pattern that was done with rotating mirrors inside of the pylons. The glass to the pylons were broke and the mirrors were shattered. And so they literally had to rebuild and restore those pieces. And they tried to do so as much as possible to the original specifications, the original designs. And I would love to see that hanging at the Smithsonian. Just even the photos I've seen, the thing is just absolutely gorgeous.
Because then someplace out in Seattle, wasn't it, that has the original captain's chair, isn't it?
So I don't recall. I know that what's his name who runs the what's his name who's sending the flights up? William Shatner went up on one of the flights.
Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, Bezos. At his place, he has got the Enterprise A model that they used, and it's hanging in the lobby. And when you go in, it's there and it's plexiglassed off, so you don't have people touching it. But he actually bought it and displays it at his business.
And I know Steve is saying he's surprised they saved it. Most of them just get thrown out. I know the other part of that
The
documentary.
Galileo did, the old shuttlecraft Galileo that got thrown out. It was in the back lot at Paramount for years and just got trashed. And every now and again, they trot that stuff out. And even then it was sad, because it was in such deplorable condition by that time.
And I know, what was it? Part of that documentary also was that most of the actual sets and whatnot ended up at the UC Berkeley School of Theater set design
Yes,
department. And so they're probably in a wood chipper by now.
exactly. Yeah, they either repainted them or they broke them down into other, for other things. And so sadly, a lot of it's gone.
Yeah.
There are some of the original props that are out there, and people, there are those that own some of the original props used on the series, and the phaser is one of them. And I'll tell you, that phaser that you just showed of in the photo, that's a million times nicer than what they actually used on the series. But, when you get something like that, the nostalgia is, hey, Leonard Nimoy may have held this phaser, may have used this on screen, or DeForest Kelly or Captain Kirk or any one of those. I mean, it was actually on the show and appeared on the show. They had what they called hero versions. So the hero versions were those that actually had some effects, like there might be the communicators had a spiraling pattern in the center here that would spiral and you could see it. And those were actually And the way they made those work was there was a stopwatch inside and there was a switch on the side. You'd actually have to activate the stopwatch and the switch on the side. And that's what would make that panel spin on the interior. This one is much more sophisticated than what they used on the TV show. And these are great for the money because they're very authentic, right down to the measurements, and pretty amazing. But the actors who were on the show at that time wish they had stuff that nice. It wasn't nearly that nice.
Isn't that your favorite 99-cent phone app?
Oh yeah, yes.
Your communicator?
Right, yes. I'm not sure if I can pull that up easily. Let's see. Won't take me long here. I got this from CBS, and my sound is muted here. Hold on. So you open it, you can, I'm not sure when this, yeah. Anyway, I'm not getting sound. Yeah, I don't know what's
Probably turned your sound off before.
Here it is.
All right.
So, and then it's got effects on it. It's got. So that's a CBS app that you could buy some number of years ago, and I've downloaded it on every phone that I've had since.
Well, we'll have to find more Star Trek treasures from the Cave of Wonders.
Well, and thanks for taking photos of all that stuff.
Absolutely.
I think that's all we've got. You have any more?
The only thing I have is just to remind people, we are on Twitter, we're on Facebook.
Yes.
We're on YouTube. We are now podcasting this as well. So if you're driving and don't have time to watch the show, we'll put out the audio on a podcast that should be available probably tomorrow sometime. Remember to like the videos, helps us out. Share them. Bring your friends. Bring your family.
Yeah, we would really appreciate it. And again, on Twitter, for those of you who are on Twitter, if you enjoy, I'm checking out various science fiction sites and moving news as it grabs me on a variety of different things. You can see more of what we've been doing there. And I try to do something every day if I can.
It's the more fun news to follow.
Well, I think that's it then. We're out of time for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Take care, my friend.
Thanks, everyone.